Welcome, everyone. This is Yuya, and as always, I'm bringing you the Foundational Fridays experience on the Enlightenment and Transformation channel. Very interesting day today, as we all know, touted as many as being the end of the world. And there were many things that were slated to have happened today, and there were many things that did happen today. If anyone of you were fortunate enough to stay up through the night last evening, you would have, of course, not only seen some very interesting atmospheric changes, but many have reported to me, the changes that they felt in terms of the energy. And I was very fortunate to be able to experience that with everyone. That I am very grateful for. But it is a new day. And for those of you who are sensitive enough to feel what is occurring and what is going on, wonderful. For those who are not, you're probably not listening to this anyway. So I don't really need to spend much time on that. And that is a part of this new world that we're coming into, coming from the era of the Vesica Pisces, which signified an era of religion and, more importantly, belief, which is more than not often confused with faith. Faith being a knowing, belief being a hoping. We have left the era of belief and hope, and now we move into the era of the Aquarian, or the Aquarian stage of our evolution, where we have Ptah, the builder, as symbolized through the Aquarius symbol, pouring out the wisdom, which we know to be the water, the wisdom across and over the nations. Aquarius also being an air sign. An air sign represents not only intellect, but spiritual intuition and knowing. So now is a time really where that spiritual, that hidden spirit knowing is being made more apparent to the mundane. But if you are one who is still stuck in systems of belief, whenever you're confronted with a truth that is blatant for you to know, you will transform it into a belief. You will make that which is obvious mystical when it need not be, and you will become drunk in your beliefs. Now is a time for a sober mind. It is a time for great creativity, but a sobering of ourselves. And it's no longer a time for us to convince those who are stuck in belief that the truth is here. That era is done. The era of the leader and its followers has ended. There are going to be many, more than who are not, who are still in that place. Leave them where they are at. Let them stay unto themselves. That is part of your responsibility to the greater process of evolution. That now is a time that you align yourself with groups of knowers. There's more a spirit of equanimity being spread across those who are following their path and their mission and their soul's aim. This is not really a time anymore where you have to find someone who has the answer, though you may still have many media figures hailing people as their Lord and Savior, or hailing people as their nation's Moses, so forth and so on. The spirit world has decided to make itself so obvious and apparent that these types of tricks, there are folks they need now to turn the volume up on them. So you will see more and more of them. You may even see figures coming through the clouds in this day and age. The technology has been brought and cultivated to the point where holograms and sound projection is a very real thing in 2012 and beyond. So, as we spoke about in our last show, dealing with the evil eye or the twine eye, those two eyes, be not fooled by them, but make sure that your vision remains on that single eye, that first eye awareness. This is a time of quickening, where we talk about being caught up in the twinkling of an eye. And I'm sure many of you have seen all of the jokes that have gone around about the Mayan calendar and the end of the world and so forth and so on. But keep in mind that there have been civilizations that have seemingly disappeared off the face of the earth, while other quote-unquote civilizations were still present. So some folks may get it and some folks may not get it. Some folks may be so in love with this reality that they want to continually incarnate here because this is all they have to hold on to. They do not work in the realm of what may be or potentiality. They only work within the realm of what is. So if they only work in the realm of what is, then what they see with those two eyes and what they process and ingest with their five senses through this somatic experience will be all that they will have. And that's fine. Everyone is not meant to make it. And I want to give those listening a forewarning about today's show. It will probably be one of my shorter shows because this is a time right now really for you to be to yourself. This is a time really right now for you to even review, for those of you who have gotten readings before, whether they were readings by me or readings by someone else, it doesn't matter. Review your readings. Look at them and look at it. Look if you've been obedient to the things that were advised of you. Even the things that have come to you in your night visions. Look and read them and see how they have played themselves out. And this is not an end of the year type of activity that I'm proposing to you, because this is the business year. It's the Gregorian year, whatever. To me, it's kind of silly for the end of the year to be in, the winter seasons anyway. I think the new year is really more around the springtime. But that's for me in my home and how we practice. So however you do is what you do. But it certainly is, we're closing down the end of the business year in the Roman calendar. But nonetheless, with this 2012 reaffirming of what we are and who we are, it's a time to really look and ask yourself if you've been accountable for your own journey, or have you blamed much of your calamity and shortcomings on someone else or something else. For a lot of you who come to me for consultations, readings, and just sessions, and you vent and you pour out your heart to me, 85% of what you say often, you don't put yourself in the middle of it. It's always someone else. It's an ex-husband, it's an ex-wife, it's an unruly child, it's the system. But that type of mentality only creates a fearful person. And I've spoken to you so many times about the dangers of fear, how fear does separate you from your power source. Fear prevents you from evolving because it stiffens you. It stiffens your DNA, so therefore it's not going to absorb anything. And this whole life journey experience is mainly about absorption. It's about receiving in the experience, absorbing yourself even through your own feelings, your corruption, your anger, your disappointment, your sadness, your frustration, your agitation, your elation, your joy, your happiness, your wonderment, your awe. Absorbing all of those feelings and processing them so that you can bring them back to the greater intelligence from whence you've come. But through fear, you constrict that process and you extend the misery of what this journey could be, as opposed to the enjoyment of what the journey could be. So what I'm saying to you when we speak about the end of the world, the era and the time is ended for you not to take yourself seriously. Take life lightly. That is the balance. but take your soul's mission seriously. Coming to me and asking me for ritual work or potions and spells and charms and amulets, and for me to bless you to do certain things is not the way. And for those who are still purporting that in 2012 and beyond, run from them. For those false teachers, those false awo or false priests and priestesses who are still taking bowlfuls of your money and tribute and espousing this false love over you and this false sense of protection, run from them. That era is no more. That era of belief. You have to have an integrated, up close and personal experience with those energies that are around you, demon and angel alike, and run from none of them. Fear none of them, because they're just different polarities. The angels love you no more than the demons do, and vice versa. That concept of amorous connection or the disconnect of hatred, that's a concept born out of your own human thought and personality. But at the realms that these entities exist, it's not even there. They are indifferent, and they're just different polarities. So if you've noticed, for those of you who've been reviewing the podcast and the broadcast, and many of you do let me know that you do, which thank you, that's good, because that keeps everybody moving forward, as opposed to me receiving a lot of emails and calls about subjects that I've gone over that the information has already been there. I give a lot away for free. I give a lot, and when I say a lot, I'm speaking of information, other things as well, but information. I'm aligned with that Aquarian energy. Well, for one, I am an Aquarius, so that may have something to do with it. But I actually enjoy sharing information with those who have a thirst for it. But more importantly, for those who respect what they're receiving. And the greatest appreciation that you can show me is through application, not just through collecting and hoarding information. I know many of you have over a dozen books on your bookshelf that you've never even touched. But you felt you needed to have it. I gotta buy this book. If I'm gonna be doing this, I gotta have this. Stop hoarding information. If you're not gonna read a book, give it to someone else who is gonna read it. If you can only read 2 books a year, then just read the 2 books a year. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Coming into this age, there are things you're just going to know. And respect what you know, but you can only really develop a comprehension and an understanding of what you know through experiential experiences. Meaning you have to apply, you have to experience what you know. You have to put it through the test. And for anybody striving towards some real, to the core, spiritual awareness and spiritual knowing, you are going to be tested. Make no mistake, you're going to be tested. This is not a cakewalk, and life was not meant to be experienced on your living room sofa. So to know some things, you're going to take some risks. You're going to get out in the trenches. You're going to get your hands dirty, and you're going to get hurt. You're going to get boo-boos. You're going to get scrapes, but you're going to be hugged and loved and all of those great things, but you're going to be tested. Things are going to happen to you. For those of you who've been granted with wonderful insight and keen awareness and ascended consciousness, you may have already gone through your trials. You may have already gone through your darkest hours. But for those of you who haven't experienced that and you're still searching and looking, you're going to have some dark hours. You're going to have some trials. You're going to have some things that are going to test your resolve of detachment. How attached are you to this material reality? So when the end of the world came, some people are so attached, all they could do was make jokes. And others are so attached that they feel they have to convince all those who made jokes that no, this really is it. And can't you feel the shift? And forget all of that. We're not there anymore. Leave people where they are. If they develop a thirst, they'll come to you. But be what they want to come to. You be the example of that shift. You be the example of that brave, courageous step in knowing and being what you are. Stop talking so much. Even when you guys send me email messages, sometimes they're too long. And I read them because, it may be something, I'm used to decoding mythology, so I'm always reading and sifting through things. But sometimes you talk too much. Listen more. Do a lot more listening. The age of pontification and all of that evangelical energy that you're projecting forward, that's not making it anymore. You have to show and prove now this thing that you say you're about. And if you're still walking around scratching your head saying that you're confused as a way to not be accountable, you're really only just playing yourself out. That's a game that you don't want to play anymore. And I don't mean to make this a segment of browbeating. I didn't really want to make it a segment of me getting into too much teaching, because right now there's so much going on in the atmosphere that I really don't have to teach too hard this Friday. You can just kind of look up at the sky and look at it looking back at you, and you can get your answers right there. Look at how the wind is blowing. It almost felt like a hurricane in the AM hours. I pull all-nighters a lot, and last night I did another one. So it was good because I got to see the transitioning of the wind currents and things, and of course the grid power went out for a little while, which was to be expected because there's a lot of electrical energy being sent around right now, and there's a firming up of the inner person. And it's time to raise up out of your yoga positions and start to apply what it is that you know and what you've been taught. Even in my class series, and it's priesthood training. And as you know, it's in 3 parts. And eventually it leads you to a place where you don't need anything. That's the whole point. So it's not 3 parts and then 2 years from now I'm going to say, oh, and a 4th hidden part that you gotta have. No, we're not doing that. I really want you all to be able to stand on your own feet. I really want you all to mature in not only your emotional posture, but your spiritual posture. And I want you physically to be well. This is what I really would like to see. But it's a desire. It's not necessarily a need. All I need to do is to fulfill my mission, which I'm doing. And you need to do the same. You need to fulfill your mission and be accountable. Don't look for me to do for you what you can do for yourself, because I'm not going to do it. And many of you offer me money and say, well, what if I pay you this and that? Though that may be tempting at times for me, understanding that violates the integrity of what I purpose out to do. So I'd rather maintain synchronization with my mission than be able to get a few more trinkets that I can hang on the walls of my home. Okay, so like I said, this is not really gonna be a long show. I wanted to just share some things in terms of what this end of the world means and the age that we're coming into, and just know that it's the age of accountability. It's the age of personal responsibility and also corporate responsibility, meaning that it's no longer well enough for you to say, I got mine, I hope you get yours. That's not happening. This is also an age of family. So for many of you who also come to me, desiring to have family, but you have plenty of opportunities in front of you to do so, but you are waiting for this mystical and supremely magical person to appear who's going to fulfill every aspect of your vision, you really need to stop playing so much. You play too much. Stop playing. Your perspective and your perception of the people around you will adjust based on your health levels. And when I say your health levels, I mean your holistic health. You know, there was a time when I was younger and there were certain things that appealed to me in the complementary sex. But then as I began to mature, I questioned where those things came from. It's almost like a person being in love with someone who has a lot of flashy objects. But then when they grow older, they wonder if those objects came from a righteous source, or are they products of someone's wicked behavior or some kind of inequity that the person has served upon someone else. So now the flashy objects, they're just not as shiny and they don't tingle as they once did. You know, they don't make the same sounds in your ears because there's a level of rational thought that comes behind it. So many of you who come to me and you speak about the troubles in that and creating a family, or some of you who want to have children, or some of you who are looking for right-minded mates, they're in front of you, but you have to change your perspective. You have to change your perspective of yourself, and most of it will come from you removing the disease from your own mind. And this will hit home for a lot of you, because a lot of times through your consultations, I'll hint towards certain things that you're perceiving wrong, and your response is usually, for some of you, your response could be you're very quick to shift the blame, you know, or you give me the confused look as if you don't know what I'm talking about. So I usually just give you the confused look back. Because if you want to play, I can play too. We'll both play. But ultimately, you're still not getting what you desire. So now is a time and an era to release that type of silliness. Gather yourself among strong family members, you know, and the things that you want, get them. There's nothing stopping you at this point, because all of the knowledge that you need to do anything is available. There's really nothing stopping you. And even for those of you who live in areas where you say, oh, what, I need a priest or so-and-so to work with, I have online classes that teach you how to do whatever you need to do. And also to mention, this Sunday, the 23rd, we'll be doing at 11 a.m. Eastern, which is 8 a.m. Pacific, we'll be doing our live class for 2 hours, where you'll be able to, it's more so a live Q&A session, where you'll be able to ask me questions directly and I'll work with you. So, Nut, the goddess Nut, who we also know to be Net or Internet, has made it possible that we can all be connected. All of the stars in the sky, her children, which is us, we're able to be connected. And she has allowed us to share our information, our knowledge, and our wisdom with one another. So there really is no excuse anymore for your first eye not coming online, other than you're not taking your journey seriously. And for those of you who are stuck in that place, you will suffer the stagnation of Medusa's stare. For all of you who think that conscious awareness is a joke, and especially those in the quote-unquote conscious community who hide the most heinous of sicknesses within that community behind long titles and, you know, colorful garb and slick phrases and, you know, a few images on your social networking sites, you will suffer the most. And reason being is because you're a part of a crumbling house, and you've already shown that you can't hack it in the other world. You know, many people enter the conscious community, quote unquote, specifically out of defiance to the mainstream community. So they tell you, but most often it's because they couldn't actually make it in that mainstream community. So they go into the conscious community to reinvent themselves. And a lot of times they become false prophets, false leaders, or as I like to coin them, conscious pimps. And time is up for now to that too, because people are seeing that you're not actually producing anything. We're in an era now where consumption is killing the consumer. It's not just about how you're polluting the earth and, people working in sweatshops and things like that. Your consumption is killing you. And if you really want to be a spiritual giant, as you should want to be, you have to learn to become a producer. You have to learn to become a producer. No longer a consumer shall you be. That means less TV. That means less getting excited over entertainment, sports, award shows, duplicitous politics, where you're actually tricked into believing, especially in America, that there's a two-party system. I mean, time out for that level of stupidity. Really, time out. Now is the time for you to actually produce and be creative with a sober mind. Be real about your creation. If you crochet, if you make arts and crafts, if you sing, if you write poetry, if you dance, if you're into woodworking, if you make wire bracelets, if you go on the streets with a microphone and you record people, if you like to paint, if you like to decorate, these are the things that attract and provide your entrance into that next world. The old world is the world of normalcy. Norman, we spoke about this when I touched upon the movie The Avatar, and I spoke about the character Norm Spellman. The reason he couldn't be accepted into the village of the Na'vi was because he was too normal. It was Jake Sully. And remember, Jake is Yakub, Sully means to darken, and the darken is that dark, chaotic, creative energy, otherwise known as melanin. So when Yakub Sully, when he sullied himself, and became that creative energy, when he said, I don't have any lab hours, I just dissected a frog once, which was probably a reference to the goddess Hecate. But anyway, by him doing that, now he was granted access. So it's not the norm. It's not your ability to let your tongue dance to an alien's language. It's not your ability to pontificate with words that the average person needs a dictionary to comprehend. It's your ability to speak to a 5-year-old and to get them to understand the beauty and the power of the jinn. It's your ability to talk to a 4-year-old and get them to understand how they can bring their first eye online. This was the gift and the power of Robert Nessel Marley, Bob Marley. He was able to create music that a 5-year-old can understand and love. That's a high intelligence. Now is the time for that. Not for regurgitating, for listening to me and saying, that's deep. When I share that around the water cooler at work tomorrow, everyone's going to like that. Or when I put this on my social networking site, I'm going to get a bunch of likes and comments because I quoted what he just said. No. That's why this particular session, I decided not to do a lot of teaching. No, you're going to do a lot of thinking after you hear this. And then you're going to do a lot of feeling. And then you're going to do a lot of intuiting. And then you're going to do a lot of application. So that is our show. And make sure you check me out at orishareligion.com, saduluhouse.com, haruasan.com. And I have some new works coming forth in the form of books and another site that which is going to be really dynamic really soon, and I'm very excited about. But make sure you pick up a copy of Grasping the Root of Divine Power, as well as get your copy of Solutions for Dysfunctional Family Relationships. And more importantly, when you get your copy, read the books. Do the exercises that are in the books. Don't just have them. I prefer that you do the work more than you just spend the money. The offering is great, but it's greater when you do the work and then I hear back from you and you tell me about your experiences. That's much better. So until next time, be well, be strong, and we're here at this brave new world. Hotep.